The Carolina Hurricanes are back in action on Tuesday night as they take on the Washington Capitals, which they hope to keep their winning streak alive. But before we talk about that, who are the most recent contributors for the Carolina Hurricanes and what it means for them? And also, who is ready for the breakout? Well, we'll talk about all that here on the Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hot Cars, also the coach of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fun Tuesday show, the pod, as we get to talk about the most recent and big contributors for the Carolina Hurricanes. Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, Nikolaj Ehlers, all of them. Who has been stepping up big for the Hurricanes as of late? Also going to talk about who is ready for a breakout. Maybe guys who are on the precipice and are ready to take that next step. And then we'll actually preview Hurricanes and Capitals at the end of the show. But before we jump into everything on the Tuesday edition of the pod, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Now, when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes, obviously the big name contributors that we all know of, Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, no big surprise here. There are some other guys as well that have been, contributing as late for the Hurricanes. With Sebastian Aho, leads the team in points now with 16 and also in assists with 10. No real surprises here, but he is on a 4-game point streak as of late, which is just funny enough for the fact that the Hurricanes are on a 4-game winning streak. So he does have 3 assists and 2 goals over the last 4 games, obviously against Buffalo. He had that multi-point game. But, like I said, he's been obviously huge for their Canes for the most part, the whole season. And the fact that now he's taken the points lead over Seth Jarvis, over 20 minutes of ice time. Face-off percentage is a little bit lower than usual. Usually Sebastian Aho is over 50%. He's at 45.7. But his shooting percentage is 16.2. So after it saw that dip to 14 last year, he has been put back on the upswing in terms of making sure to get back into that realm. Now, he does have 1 power play goal and 4 power play points, but nothing so far in shorthandeds or game winners or in overtime. But, it's Sebastian Aho. He's going to do Sebastian Aho things, but it's good to see the fact that he's well over point per game. He's on a great pace on a 4-game point streak. Like I said, multi-point night against Buffalo with the goal and the assist. And, of course, he got a big goal for the Hurricanes on the power play against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, another guy that you heard me talk about on the Monday show of the pod is Seth Jarvis. And like I said, I realistically think that he should be someone who needs to be on that Canadian Olympic roster team because he's someone who has a great 200-foot game. He is definitely should be in conversations for the Selke a lot more than he has because the fact that you look at, shorthanded goal, power play goals, game winners, he's done everything that you ask of him to do, and any team would love to have a guy like that on their roster. He is also on a 4-game point streak. Now, he has 3 goals and 1 assist over that span, but hey, they'll ask Kyle, they ask how many, and right now he is on a 4-game point streak with, like I said, 3 goals and assists, and he's been absolutely shooting the lights off for the Carolina Hurricanes. How about a 19.2% on the shooting percentage, which is a career high from, and even on faceoffs, while he is kind of filling in here and there, how about 47.8 career high for him as well. Game winners, he already has 4 game-winning goals on the season. Of course, it came in the first 5 games, but he already tied his rookie total back from 21-22, and he's already passed last season's total. Plus, on top of that, he's only 5 game-winning goals away from tying his career high in 23-24. Overtime winners, how about 2, which he's already matched through the first 4 seasons of his career already. So he's already doubled his overall overtime goal tally. Time on ice, he's exactly playing 19 minutes and 21 seconds like he did last year for the Carolina Hurricanes. And here's the thing. One shorthanded goal already, one shorthanded point, one power play goal, and that was his only power play point. But 10 goals, 15 points is a +5, and he is the second fastest guy on the Hurricanes to get to 10 goals in a season, obviously behind Andrei Svechnikov, who did it in 14, but he did it in 15. You love to see it. Seth Jarvis has been a big guy for the Carolina Hurricanes. Someone who's contributed really recently for the Carolina Hurricanes, who's also part of a 4-game point streak with Aho and Seth Jarvis. How about Nikolaj Ehlers? He's got 2 goals and 3 assists over the last 4 games, dating back to the Rangers game, and in a multi-point night for the Hurricanes against Toronto, where he had 2 assists along with Keandre Miller as they teamed up for the Aho goal and the game winner for Logan Stankoven. On the season, how about this? 2 game winners already for the Carolina Hurricanes, and that came very recently, too, on top of that against the Rangers and the Wild. So Nikolaj Ehlers has been stepping up pretty big for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, his shooting percentage is relatively low, but he's been kind of picking it up as of late. Like I said, he does have 2 goals. But since the Vegas Golden Knights game, and every game since then, so for the last 10 games since the 20th of October, how about 2 goals and 9 points? The thing on top of that is that has vaulted him up to where he is already tied for second on the team in assists with Jackson Blake, only behind Sebastian Aho. Also tied for 4th in points with Logan Stankoven, only behind Jackson Blake, Seth Jarvis, and Sebastian Aho. Another big contributor. How about Keandre Miller coming back from injury, and he has already tallied 4 points in the last 3 games. All assists, but 2 of them came against Toronto in that multi-point game as well for him. Like I said, 2 goals, 8 points already. Already has a power play goal, 3 power play points. Ever since coming back from his injury, it feels like Keandre Miller has not really missed a step for the Carolina Hurricanes. He's been very, very clutch for the team. Another guy who I think that really he's getting a lot more attention recently because of the shine he's been putting on for the Carolina Hurricanes, especially with all of the defensive, missing guys on the blue line. How about Sean Walker? 3 goals, 2 assists over the last 4 games. Yeah, he didn't get anything against Buffalo, but you're talking back-to-back goals in back-to-back nights with multi-points on top of that as well. And he scored against Toronto. So in the last 4 games, how about 3 goals and 5 points overall for Sean Walker? He's been very big for the Carolina Hurricanes. And he's also averaging 23 minutes and 53 seconds for the Carolina Hurricanes. That is a career high across the board wherever he's played. You're talking Philadelphia, Colorado, LA. This is the most Sean Walker's played. And Rod Burnmore said it. He's been the guy for the Hurricanes on the blue line all season. And that's with, being a leader for Alexander Nikishin and all the young guys. And the fact that he's had to step up big on penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5. Like I said, he's almost averaging 24 minutes a game because you're without Gostisbehere. You're out with Jacob Slavin. You're now out with Jalen Chatfield. And at one point, you were out Keandre Miller. And yeah, Alexander Nikishin's playing great hockey. Mike Riley's playing some great hockey as well. But if you're talking about someone who's been very clutch for the Carolina Hurricanes, for me, it's definitely Sean Walker on that blue line if you're not looking at the forwards, because he has been a steady rock for the Carolina Hurricanes, and you love to see it. In fact, you're 15 games into the season, you're 11-4-0, you're on a 4-game winning streak. And like I said, you're doing without 3 blue line regulars for most of the season already. Like, we've not seen Jacob Slavin since the Philadelphia game on October 11th. Shane Gostisbehere has been hurt twice, and you lost Jalen Chatfield in the Minnesota game. But you're still playing very great hockey, and the blue line has been stepping up big, and the PK is still top half of the league. And that's with how decimated this blue line is, and who's that big constant factor that's a veteran presence on the blue line that's been in the system at least a year, that's contributed to where it's going right now and what Tim Gleason needs. That is Sean Walker. So a lot of guys who've been big contributors as of late. Now, there are contributors as well, but who are also on I would think, a close path or at the precipice of a breakout. Who are those guys? Stick around, we'll talk about it here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push, whether if it's your NBA team or your fantasy team. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Now, we talked about the big contributors for the Carolina Hurricanes, and there are some who've been contributing pretty big for the Hurricanes as well, but there are also guys who I believe are either at the precipice of a breakout or already on a breakout in very early stages of that. Well, one of them, you got to talk about Alexander Nikishin. Now, points-wise, he is tied with Taylor Hall and Keandre Miller in points, and on top of that, too, you're looking at a guy who is tied for fourth in assists with Shane Gostisbehere and Miller. But the bigger kicker is, how about a plus 14 on the season in his first rookie year, his first season in the league as a rookie, leads the Hurricanes at a plus 14. That is an insane thing to think about, and that tells you where this team is at right now and the fact of how big that Alexander Nikishin has been for the Carolina Hurricanes. And this is something I really appreciate from Mike Sunheim, who is the head PR guy for the Carolina Hurricanes. Hurricanes defenseman Alexander Nikishin ranks first among rookies and second among all NHL skaters in the plus-minus this season with a plus 14. He is tied for sixth among rookie scoring leaders with 8 points, 2 goals, and 6 assists. All have which have come at even strength. That is monumentally huge, and it tells you how clutch he has been for the Carolina Hurricanes, with the fact that you're talking a bunch of rookies on this blue line. Joel Nyström, Charles Alexis Legault, himself, Dominic Fensore at some point as well. And the fact that you're outside, you haven't had Miller, you haven't had now Chatfield, haven't had Ghost, and you haven't had Jacob Slavin. The three guys who've been main components has been him, Mike Riley, who did get a rest one night, and then Sean Walker. And Alexander Nikishin has put himself into a spot where he's already, like what Mike Sunheim said, in a top 3 spot, plus-minus wise, and just for scoring as a rookie in his first full season in the NHL after playing only 4 playoff games last year for the Hurricanes. If you're Tim Gleason and Brad Burnmore, you got to be loving it for the fact that you can play this kid almost over 20 minutes a night, and you feel that his confidence is just growing every single game, and it feels like that you're just putting yourself into a great spot, and that's where you're at with the Carolina Hurricanes. That's what you're at with Alexander Nikishin. You love to see it for him. Now, talking about other guys, how about Jackson Blake? Third on the team in points with 11. He is also tied for second on the team in assists with Nikolaj Ehlers with 7 of those. In goals-wise, how about tied for fourth on the team with Sean Walker, Robinson, and Svechnikov in goals? And this is his second season with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's 15 games into his sophomore season. He's already put himself into a good spot with the team overall. Yes, he has no game winners or overtime winners, but he's got a 10.3 shooting percentage right now. It's a little bit lower than last season. But now he's got a career high in average time on ice at 15:49, 2 power play points. How about a +4 already on the season as well? And you guys heard me talk about him, before the season started when I had a one-on-one conversation with him. If you want to check that out, go to thehockeyriders.com where I did sit with Jackson Blake. And his mindset last year for him, it was just trying to make the team and then kind of figure out how to be a pro hockey player in his rookie season. 17 goals, 34 points later, I'd say it's pretty good. And for him, his second season mindset is just to get better every single day. And for me, I already feel like we're watching a breakout that's already started for Jackson. Like where he's at right now, like I said, he's already third on the team with points at 11. He's only behind Seth Jarvis with 15, and Aho is 16. Yes, he's not at the point per game pace like those two are, but he's playing second line minutes, second power play unit minutes as well, but he's still finding a way to be an effective scorer on that second line with a line that's now with Logan Stankoven and Nikolaj Ehlers. And honestly, those three guys have been playing phenomenally well together. I'm almost at the point, don't break up 27, 22, and 53. That's how good they've been together. But Jackson Blake has been on a start of a breakout for a little while now, and I feel like he's just going to keep getting better. I think that, yes, he is 1/5 of the way there. Big shout out to Ash for the math there on Twitter. He will have a 20-goal season. I really think he will have a 20-goal season, and I think he has a legitimate shot for a 50-point pace this year because that's how good Jackson Blake is already starting out this season. Another guy who's on a great start to the season, how about Logan Stankoven? Tied for 4th on the team in points with Nikolaj Ehlers at 9. And then in terms of goals, how about he's already put himself 3rd on the team with 5, behind Sebastian Aho 6 and Seth Jarvis is 10. Assists-wise, he is in a good spot. He is tied for 10th with Mike Riley with 4 assists, but this is for the fact that he's still tied for 4th on the team in points in a transition year in his first full season with the Hurricanes, this is a big ask for a guy who's gone from being a legitimate winger over the last few to now being a center. When I say the last few, you're talking like Texas Stars, Dallas Stars, and stuff like that. But this is the first time that he's legitimately playing a center. He hadn't put a point up or scored a goal in 4 games, but he did have a multi-point night against Toronto. Obviously, his goal being the game winner. But you're looking at a guy who's at a 42.2% on the faceoffs. Yes, it's a little low, but I've noticed he's gotten better at the faceoff dot. And this is a big, like I said, his first full season with the Carolina Hurricanes. And he's transitioning into being a full-time center. Like I said, 16.1% on the shooting, career high. He does have a game-winning goal already. 15 minutes and 20 seconds, already a career in time on ice. Here's the kicker, though. Last season with the Hurricanes, 19 games played, 5 goals, 9 points, -3. 15 games this season for the Carolina Hurricanes, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points, a +6. In 4 less regular season games between last season and this current season, he's already matched his goal, assist, and point total already, and he's a +9 better mathematically. So you take that -3, go to +6, boom, he's a +9 difference already in 4 less games. He's already matched his total. That's how impressive Logan Stankoven has been for the Carolina Hurricanes in the middle of a first full season with the team after getting traded to the Hurricanes and then Mikko Rantanen deal with the Dallas Stars and signing a contract extension, which doesn't kick in until next summer for 8 years, which is crazy to think about. And on top of that, he's now a full-time center after playing winger for the Stars 2 seasons ago. And even most of last year before he got traded, even with the Hurricanes, he was a winger. Last time he played center at all really was a little bit with the Dallas Stars over the last couple seasons, maybe a little bit. The Texas Stars of the AHL a little bit as well, and then going back to Kamloops for juniors. So he's got a lot on his plate, but I think he's doing pretty well so far, and I think Stankoven is only going to get better for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, all that to be said, the Hurricanes do play on Tuesday night against the Washington Capitals as they look to continue their winning streak. What does the tail of the tape say? Who should fans watch in this game? We'll stick around. We'll talk about it here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, my energy, my mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-based backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like using Drip Drop as part of my daily routine. I mix a packet in a water during the midday for a slump, or maybe even in the morning, or maybe I just need a little quick boost at night. It actually tastes pretty amazing. My go-to flavor right now is the watermelon, but I am a big proponent of the peach flavor as well. Those are my really 2 good ones. And the thing is, that's from their sugar-free brand. And it's become my secret weapon for staying sharp and energized through long days. Hydration has become a non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. So right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard, or maybe it's getting a little bit cooler. But either way, keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. The Carolina Hurricanes, like I said, take on the Washington Capitals on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. start time on FanDuel Sports Network South. Capitals 7-7-1, the Hurricanes 11-4. This is the first of only 3 meetings between these teams. We got November 11th, December 11th in Washington, and then January 31st back in Washington. This will be the last time the Hurricanes will have to face 2 of their Metro Division opponents only 3 times next year when we go to the 84-game schedule. Both of those games will be in division, so the Hurricanes after this year will face all their opponents within the Metro 4 times each. Now, in terms of players to watch, leading in points, goals, assists over the last 5 games, Tom Wilson, 4 goals, 5 points for the Capitals. Jacob Chicken with 4 assists. For the Carolina Hurricanes, 5 points for Nikolaj Ehlers, 3 goals for Seth Jarvis. How about Kendra Miller with 4 assists? My goodness. Now, this is where it's going to get very interesting in terms of the fact that the Washington Capitals are a team, goals allowed, they are first in the league at 2.47%. However, they are 22nd in goals for per game at 2.8. So while the fact that you do have Logan Thompson, who's 6-4 with a 1.61 goals against average and a 930 save percentage, this team is NHL 500 essentially. That being Charlie Lindgren, 1-3-1 with a 3.59 goals against and an 878 save percentage, but he does carry it shutout. So while the Capitals aren't a team that really give up a lot of goals, especially if Logan Thompson's in the net, but they just can't score goals. That's the problem for them. They're going to be against a Carolina Hurricanes team who are one of the best teams on 5-on-5 play. 3rd in the league in goals for 3.87. And the thing is, they're 9th at 2.8 on goals allowed per game as well. So while the Hurricanes are scoring goals, they're also keeping opponents off the board, and the fact that their goals allowed per game matches the Capitals' goals for. Now, the special teams, this is where it could get very, very interesting. The Capitals are 28th at 14.9% on the power play, compared to Carolina, who's now up to 14% at 30th in the league, because of the fact they've scored power play goals in back-to-back games. So, hey, they're not last anymore. So, once you're off a rock bottom, the only thing you can do is really go up from there. Now, the penalty kill for the Capitals, 27th at 71.7%. Hurricanes, 10th at 82%. So, if the Hurricanes can manage to find a way to keep their power play going 3 games in a row with the power play goal, you might be in a very good spot with the Washington Capitals because, like I said, the Capitals are a team that don't allow a lot of goals, but they don't score a lot as well. So if you take advantage of the man advantage, you might put yourself in a good spot if you're Carolina too. If you get ahead and get whoever, is in the net for the Capitals, you're in a good spot. And the thing is, you're at home. You're at the Lenovo Center. You've beaten these guys before. You beat them in the playoffs in round 2. You know what it takes to beat Washington. And right now, Washington isn't clicking on all cylinders. Like I said, they're in an AHL 500 at 7-7-1, and they're 3-6-1 over their last 10. They've lost to Pittsburgh and they've lost to Tampa. The only team they've beaten in their last handful of games is the Blues. Outside of that, lost to Ottawa, lost to Dallas, lost to the Islanders, lost to Buffalo in a shootout. The Capitals are a very struggling team right now, and if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you're on a 4-game winning streak. You've beaten the Rangers, the Wild, the Sabres, Toronto. Yeah, you lost to Boston, but before that you beat the Islanders. So really in the last 6 games, you've won 5 of them, and you're 6-4. So right now the Hurricanes are on a pretty good run, and there's a way if they can keep doing what they're doing, I think they're in a good spot. Guys to watch out for. Obviously, Alexander Ovechkin, you can never really forget about him. He does have 3 goals and 10 points in 15 games, but Dylan Strome, 10 assists, 14 points in 13. And crazy enough, somehow Tom Wilson is leading the team with 9 goals and 16 points in 15 games. Here's the crazy stat, though. He is also a 41 penalty minutes on the season in 15 games. So, yeah, he has 45 hits, but he's got a lot of PIMs. So if you find a way to just get under his skin and just let Tom Wilson do Tom Wilson things, I think you're going to be in a good spot. Obviously, everyone knows for the Carolina Hurricanes, got to watch out for point streaks for Ehlers, Aho, Jarvis. Watch out for Jackson Blake. He's on a hot run recently. Logan Stankoven just went multi-point. Andrei Svechnikov has been playing the best hockey so far this season over the last few games. Already up to 4 goals and 7 points as of late. And for goaltending, I mean, I know we just saw Pierre Kachekov and Brandon Bussey in the back-to-back. My bet, Frederik Andersen's going to be in goal, 5-3 with a 297 goals against and an 892 save percentage. I would be very shocked if it's not Frederik Andersen. So I think for me, it's Andersen and probably Logan Thompson, because if the Washington Capitals need to get a win in the Metro, especially when you're playing against the Hurricanes, who are on top of the division right now, or depending on when you listen to this and whatever happens in the New Jersey game, you're still talking a top 2 team in the division. The Capitals are going to want their best goalie in the net, and that's going to be Thompson unless something changes. But for your Carolina, most likely, like I said, you're going to go to Andersen. You're going to have to keep rotating through your goalies because you really can't stand Brendan Bussey down right now because pretty much almost every team in this league is going to take him. So you want to kind of save him because he's earned that right to stay in Carolina, regardless of the fact that you just reclaimed, Caden Primo and Kochekov is back off of IR. So either way, this should be a good game. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But the Hurricanes are looking for their 5th straight win. Washington's looking to get back on the win column, but I think as long as you limit the penalties, if you're the Hurricanes, take advantage of when you get the man advantage. Hopefully you keep that power play goal running still go, because you're already back-to-back games with the power play goal. If you go 3 straight, fantastic, but control the tempo 5-on-5. I think if you do that like you have been recently, even with the Toronto game where it got kind of crazy there, I think the Hurricanes are in a good spot. Yes, it's been a lot of hockey over the last few days. You're talking 3 wins in 4 days. This could be hopefully 4-5. We'll see how it goes, or 5-6, or 4 wins in 6 games, however that plays out. Either way, it's a Metro game. The Washington Capitals, for the first time, you want to keep getting the points as much as you can. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But I think if the longer the Hurricanes keep doing what they've been doing, I think they're going to be in a good spot. It'll just be interesting to see what happens on the defense with the go out. So only time will tell with the morning skate and all of that. So we will see, but at least, the Hurricanes are back home on the Nova Center, and that place is going to be loud. But, guys, this will be the Tuesday edition of Locked on Hurricanes, making your first look. For your checklist, check out the Locked on Info Game Night. Every game, every night, as well as Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Financial Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. If you want to keep up with me, I'm a one true Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky, the Zachary Martin, where if you click the link tree in my bio, you can find all of my written content at thehockeywriters.com. If you want to check out my other podcasts, that's the Search Cast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For Locked On Hurricanes, we're on Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up to let me know the show as well. Share with other Caniacs so they become everydayers just like you. But hope everyone enjoyed the Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Enjoy your Tuesday and have fun watching your Canes play the Washington Capitals. Until next time, as always, let's go Canes.